massive black fin slices through the freezing ocean without warning. Beneath the surface, a pod of orcas moves with perfect coordination surrounding the chaos before it even begins. From crushing waves near sea ice to lightning-fast pursuits in open water, every movement is calculated. Not the largest hunters in the ocean, yet few predators command more fear across the sea. And once the water falls silent again, only drifting white spray remains behind them. Off the coast of Alaska, the ocean stays silent beneath a blanket of cold gray fog. Then a dorsal fin rises above the surface, followed by 3 more, moving in perfect formation. A pod of orcas has already begun the hunt. Unlike many marine predators, orcas rely on coordination more than brute force. One group moves beneath the target, while others cut off escape routes from the sides. Every turn is controlled. Every movement saves energy in waters where survival depends on efficiency. Scientists have recorded pods using powerful tail strikes to compress schools of fish into tighter formations. In colder regions, some groups even generate waves strong enough to push seals away from floating ice. The strategy is fast, calculated, and remarkably precise. An adult male may grow beyond 30 feet long and weigh over 12,000 pounds, yet the true strength of orcas comes from communication. Distinct vocal patterns allow pods to stay connected, even in dark or murky water, where visibility disappears within seconds. The chase often ends almost as quickly as it begins. White water settles, the surface grows calm again, and beneath the drifting fog, the pod moves on together as if the ocean itself were guiding the formation forward. For orcas, survival is never just about power. In the cold Pacific, intelligence and family bonds shape every encounter beneath the waves. Along the frozen coastline of Antarctica, survival often depends on one unstable piece of drifting ice. Quietly above the freezing water, surrounded by silence and wind. Far below the surface, several orcas begin to close the distance. Instead of attacking directly, the pod studies the ice itself. In polar waters, energy is everything. A failed attempt can waste valuable strength in temperatures that hover near 28 degrees Fahrenheit. So the orcas turn the ocean into a weapon. Massive bodies move side by side through the water-building momentum with precise timing. As they surge forward together, a powerful wave rolls toward the floating ice and lifts it sharply from beneath. The seal suddenly loses stable ground as freezing water rushes towards the surface. One coordinated surge becomes enough to break the balance. Within moments, the drifting platform settles back into the sea, while the encounter disappears beneath the dark Antarctic water. Above the surface, only scattered ice remains, moving quietly with the current. It is not instinct alone. Young calves often remain nearby during these hunts, watching every movement as experience passes from one generation to the next. In Antarctica, strength alone is rarely enough. The ocean rewards the hunters capable of reshaping the environment itself. Off the coast of California, dense fog hangs low above the Pacific, while sea lions gather near rocky shoreline currents. Beneath the surface, however, another predator is already moving through the dark water. A great white shark patrols the area, slowly guided by silence and instinct. For years, great whites ruled these feeding grounds alone. Adults can exceed 15 feet in length and rely on sudden acceleration to overpower targets in open water. But when orcas enter the region, the balance of the ocean can shift within hours. Observers have recorded entire shark populations abandoning familiar hunting zones after nearby orca activity. Some disappear from the coastline for weeks at a time. Marine biologists believe the reason is simple: orcas hunt with coordination that few predators can predict. The water suddenly erupts near the surface. Several dorsal fins appear together, cutting across the current in complete synchronization. Instead of rushing wildly, the pod isolates movement, forcing the shark to constantly change direction while burning valuable energy. The pressure builds with every turn through the cold Pacific water. Then, just as quickly as it began, the confrontation vanishes beneath the waves. The shoreline grows quiet again. Seabirds drift back toward the surface, but the great white is gone from the area, slipping into deeper offshore waters far from the pod's patrol route. In the Pacific, dominance is never permanent. Even apex predators must retreat when intelligence, coordination, and endurance begin moving together through the sea. Near the coastal waters of British Columbia, a young orca moves beside the pod through narrow ocean channels carved by powerful tides. The calf stays close, rising carefully for air between the larger adults surrounding it. In these waters, experience matters as much as strength. Older females lead the formation through shifting currents where hidden rocks and fast-moving water can quickly drain a young calf's energy. Scientists have observed orcapods teaching travel routes that may remain unchanged for generations, especially in regions rich with salmon during migration season. The adults rarely break formation. Large dorsal fins hold steady along the outer edge, while the calf remains protected near the center of the group. Every adjustment is subtle: small turns, controlled pacing, and perfectly timed surfacing through the cold Pacific water. For a young orca, these early journeys become part of survival itself. Calves must learn migration paths, feeding grounds, and the social signals that keep the pod connected across miles of open ocean. Slowly, the smaller fin begins matching the rhythm of the adults ahead. The pod disappears deeper into the channel, moving as one through the shifting tide. In the Pacific, survival is not passed down through instinct alone, but through generations carried forward together beneath the waves. Along the coastline of Patagonia, powerful waves roll across a narrow stretch of wet sand, while sea lions wait near the edge of the surf. The shallow water appears calm for only a moment. Then a black dorsal fin rises through the tide. These orcas hunt closer to shore than almost any other population on Earth. Instead of remaining offshore, they use the force of incoming waves to surge toward the beach before sliding back into deeper water with the retreating tide. The timing must be exact. A split-second mistake could leave thousands of pounds trapped on the shoreline. But the pod moves with remarkable control, repeating the maneuver with speed and precision shaped by generations in these waters. One surge, a burst of white water. Then the ocean pulls everything back beyond the breaking surf. As the Atlantic wind sweeps across the empty shoreline once more, the pod disappears beneath the waves, leaving behind only moving water and the echo of one of the ocean's boldest hunting strategies. Far from the coastline, the Pacific opens into miles of deep blue water with no shelter in sight. Here, survival changes completely. There are no rocks, no ice, no shoreline currents, only endurance. A pod of orcas moves steadily across the open sea. Their target is much larger this time. A massive whale surfaces ahead, releasing a towering cloud of mist before disappearing beneath the waves again. Instead of rushing forward, the pod spreads out across the water, conserving energy while tracking every movement from a distance. The pursuit can continue for miles. Orcas are among the few marine predators capable of maintaining coordinated pressure over long distances, taking turns at the front, while others recover behind the formation. Speed matters, but stamina matters more. The ocean remains tense and silent, except for the sound of surfacing breaths cutting through the wind. Then the formation suddenly tightens. Several dorsal fins close in together as white water explodes across the surface for only a few brief moments. And just as quickly, the confrontation slips beneath the waves. The larger whale disappears into the deep Pacific, while the pod slows its pace once again, continuing across the endless water as evening light fades along the horizon. In the open ocean, the greatest advantage does not always belong to the largest animal, but to the hunters capable of turning patience into power. In the cold waters of Norway, thousands of herring begin moving as one beneath the dark Arctic Sea. From above, the school looks almost like a living cloud of silver shifting through the current. Then the ocean starts to tighten around them. Orcas emerge silently from below, guiding the massive school upward toward the surface. Instead of scattering the fish, the pod compresses them into a dense spinning formation where every movement becomes more difficult. The water flashes with silver in every direction. Tail strikes echo beneath the surface like distant thunder, sending waves through the tightly packed herring, while seabirds dive from above into the confusion. For a few moments, the entire ocean seems to move in synchronized motion. Fishbirds and orcas locked inside the same swirling current. And at the center of it all, the pod never breaks formation. As the Arctic light fades across the water, the silver mass slowly dissolves back into the deep. One by one, the dorsal fins disappear into the dark northern sea, leaving only ripples drifting beneath the winter sky. From the frozen south to the dark Pacific orcas continue to move through the ocean with the same precision carried across generations. Some encounters last only seconds, others unfold across miles of open water beneath wind ice and fading light. But long after the waves settle, the ocean never feels truly empty again. Far beyond the mist, the black dorsal fins slowly disappear into the gray horizon as the sea closes silently behind them.